Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Or should I say good morning or good evening, depending where you are in the world. But in Alberta here, it is good afternoon. And welcome to another episode of the Conversations with Dune and Friends. I am your host, Dune Nguyen. And today we have a fantastic guest joining us. We have Marshall Lawrence joining us for the hour today. And so I'm going to give just a quick introduction of Marshall here before we bring him on stage. But Marshall has the distinction of being a Maple Blues Award and Canadian Independent Music Award nominee. Marshall has been described as a neo-Delta visionary living blues. Has been compared to Woody Guthrie in the Living Blues, Rory Gallagher, Rock Radio Magazine, Tash Mahal, Roy Bookbinder, Corey Harris in Rootstime, and Johnny Winter, as well as Kim Mitchell. Now, music reviews by the Rock Doctors. So he has also co-produced and released Where's the Party, 2003, The Morning After, 2008, Blues Intervention 2010, I should say, House Call 2013, and Feeling Fine in 2018. So lots of different projects there to a wide variety of critical acclaim. Now, his album has charted in the top 10 of Canada's Root Music report for Radio Play, in the top 10 Roots Music report, and also in Roots Blues and Blues Rock and top 50 Blues International for Radio Play, as well as in the top 10, top 10 Roots Music report. Lots of different charts, and number 12 on Australian International Blues Airplay chart. Marshall is currently recording 5-song EP and 12-song CD for all original material to be released in 2020 here, in fact. And, so 2020 is the EP and 2021 is the CD. So with all of that, Marshall has also produced and released 13 episodes of the web series Why I Love the Blues, and asking musicians and blues musicians and fans and movers and shakers in that genre why they love the blues. And to date, the series has received over 12,000 views, and lots of links to be accessed from this video later on, as well as the advertising post that I put earlier. And so with that introduction, I would like you to join me in welcoming Mr. Marshall Lawrence. So Marshall, hopefully you can hear us and hear me, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dune. Happy to be here, man.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. It's a bit early in the morning, but I'm doing okay. I have my coffee with me.
Wonderful. You know, I have some water here, so let's do a cheer thing here. Just kick off the show. So, Marshall, beyond that introduction, tell us a bit more, maybe a backstory of just anything else that you want to cover before we get into the questions. We're showing some videos and your perhaps a preview of your CDs and things like that. But tell us a bit more, Marshall Lawrence.
Yeah, well, I've been playing, as probably a lot of people know, I've been playing for a very long time. Blues has always been where my heart is, but growing up in Windsor, Ontario, just the other side of the ditch from Detroit, I mean, I was influenced a lot by Motown and, I'll call it garage rock, Iggy, well, the Stooges really at that time, MC5 and so on. I always had, blues was always in my heart. Played a lot of genres of music. You know what? Was even in a polka band for 5 years. Made great money, ate well.
Any accordion in that polka band? Any accordion? Was there any accordions in that polka band?
Killer accordion players. Actually. Those boys, some of those boys could jam. It's unbelievable. They don't get enough credit. But anyway, I was in that for 5 years, made great money. But I've done a lot of genres. But now in my life, well, last year with the release of Feeling Fine, and where I'm at now, I'm going more into the rock blues, rock vein of things. which is, you know, the new EP that's coming out, and the new CD that's coming out. That's all blues rock and rock. So I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about the next couple of years, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit of a reinvention, a refocusing, in some ways, maybe back to your roots, in the sense of you probably started out doing rock before you got deep into the blues, right?
Well, did. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I did, right? And that's what we all did back then in, you know, I'll say late 60s, very early 70s. You know, that's what we did. But I always listened to the blues. And the introduction really came from, well, you know, there's blues in everything, pretty much everything. You know, it's influenced by the blues. And when I hooked on to Johnny Winter, I mean, that was it. You know, Hendrix, of course, has blues. That's a very early influence, and then Johnny Winter, and you know, that was the end of that. So I was always a blues influence, no matter what I was playing, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I notice you have kind of taken on to your Les Paul and Gibson SG a bit more. I see you more with it these days, which is again sort of hark back to your 60s and 70s days, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, the Les Paul was actually willed to me by a dear friend who passed several years back. The Les Paul that you see on the Feeling Fine CD cover. But right now, I'm playing Charvel guitars. Interestingly enough, yeah, and I love them. My guitars are collecting dust. I'm just in love with this Charvel. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really that is almost signature. Whether it's Charvel or Jackson, that takes you right back to the 80s, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I never listened to any, you know, all of those. It just wasn't my thing. All of those big hair bands and those rock bands. I was always listening, you know, to the older stuff still, like Hendrix, of course, Johnny Winter, Atomic Rooster. You know, I'd just be playing my records. Didn't really listen to the radio all that much, even back then. You know, but now that I'm going in the direction I'm going in, I thought, well, geez, you know, maybe I'll try a different guitar. And spent a year trying all different kinds of guitars.
Yes.
And yeah, it was crazy. And then I just landed on this particular Charvel, and I'm in love with it.
Yeah. I've seen some of your posts on that. Hey, Rita McDade, all the way from BC, is saying hi there. She says, Marsha Lawrence, exclamation mark.
Hey, Rita, how you doing?
She's a nice lady, isn't she?
Indeed, yeah.
I love her and Kevin McDade. Awesome. Yeah. So
Well, actually, true story. I actually took some vocal lessons off of Rita.
I did as well. Yeah, Rita is awesome vocal coach, and yeah. So tell us in terms of your recording. Later on, we're going to share perhaps. Is it a CD? These couple clips that we'll show later on from your CD. Is it one CD or two separate CDs?
No, that's my Feeling Fine CD. That's the newest CD. I recorded this at Wolf's Den Studios with Cam McLeod. Cam and I produced it. Cam was a huge influence on helping me get to where I want to be now. You know, I did all my other stuff, my last, what is it, 4, whatever it is, at Homestead, but those were mostly acoustic blues. But when I wanted to go to rock, I switched studios and wanted to find a guy that really knew rock and that helped me get to where I'm going. Cam, and it just worked. So, yeah, and here we are today. I'm still recording at Wolf's Den with Cam, and we're actually co-writing or have co-written the EP, the new EP, and the CD. A nice partnership.
Right. So when was that released, Marshall? Feeling Fine, the CD?
That was in 2018.
2018. Yeah. So let me just put that up here. So take us into the process of how you came about, you know, kind of the vision for that CD and what you were trying to do with it, and any thoughts on that particular CD before we play that clip, perhaps.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, I used to play rock, punk, funk, whatever. I wanted to get back into electric. I was playing around the city in an electric band for a bit. I wanted to record and kind of move on. You know, a lot of people will continue doing what they've been doing. It's okay for a number of years; they're very good at it. But for me, really, after I did my last acoustic CD, which the Holmes brothers were on, they wanted to be on it after I spoke with them and played them the song. So I mean, that was very cool. But you know, I wanted to move in a new direction. I felt I was stagnant, right? I was just doing the same thing, and I think I was good at it, but I was just doing the same thing. So how do I progress as a musician? Hey, I wanted to rock out, okay, but then how do I evolve? How do I develop as a musician? So how do I challenge myself? That was part of the impetus for to record Feeling Fine, and it's certainly you know, the driving force in where I'm going now with the EP and the CD, which we can talk a bit about later. That was an interesting journey to date. You know, so how do I develop? I can do the same thing over and over, and that's good. Hey, you know, I got some good mileage out of all of that. All my records have charted in the top 10, great interviews. But what's next? You know, what's next?
Yeah. Very, you know, I respect that very much. In any particular discipline, one of the most important sort of awareness piece is to say, you know, I want to change, I need a change, and then pursue it. And as I've seen from your post on social media, that journey is full of new stuff, right? And so that's exciting, and I'm glad that you're on that journey. And the Les Paul looks great on you, by the way. Let me just share this video. I'm gonna just share it, and I'll be off camera here. But let's share this video and see. And you see this little thing right here? I will go ahead and jump off of camera here. So there it is, and I'm gonna hit play. And feel free to comment while it's playing, Marshall.
Sure. And there you go. And that was Feeling Fine, the story of my journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. So,
Yeah.
if I did not know that this was you and I listened to it based on my previous sort of knowledge of your sound and your kind of music and whatnot, this is definitely a reinvention. You sounded awesome, first of all, but quite different than the previous music you were focused on for a while.
Well, I mean, like we talked about earlier, that's the goal. Uh, it's about just getting better, improving on your instrument, improving your songwriting, your vocals, whatever it is, right? Your craft.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, I think, and I know, a lot of people were surprised when they heard "Feeling Fine," and a lot of people, influential people actually, in the biz, advised me not to do an electric record because I was doing so well with my acoustic CDs.
Yeah.
You know, but this is the direction I wanted to go in. So, when people hear it, yeah, wow, that's Marshall, really? Oh,
Yeah.
again, you hire a good producer, you come in with the material, you remain humble and open
Yeah.
because you know what, you can't do everything yourself, and we'll talk about that again when we talk about the new EP and the CD. You're humble by your limitations, but this CD, Feeling Fine, was where I wanted to go, and that bridges the gap from my acoustic stuff to my, I will say, blues rock EP.
Uh-huh.
And the blues rock EP is a bridge to my rock CD.
Mm-hmm.
And I said both of those, yeah. Yeah. So it's all a progression. And it was sort of, once I started recording Feeling Fine, then I sort of knew, and I said, okay, well, here's what I want to do next. So how do we get there? How do we ease people into it? And
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people saying, man, I can't believe that's you doing that. Well, you know what? Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of hard work, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's different than what I do live. And like you said, what you're used to hearing or what people are used to hearing when I play electric. That's a
Yeah.
whole different thing than the studio, right? When you
Yeah.
get in the studio, it's all about serving the song and not so much about serving, I'll just say it, serving yourself, serving your own ego. It's about the
Mm-hmm.
song.
You
Yeah.
bet. I want to capture that. I want to highlight that. Here's an example of, kind of the music journey, highlighting something that's pretty universal, principle, and that is if you want to transform yourself, you got to have a very clear vision, a compelling vision of how you want to transform to in terms of what that looks like in the end, and just engaging the appropriate people and be willing to learn and being humble and be able to kind of park your past successes behind, because a lot of organizations, a lot of entities go belly up after being so successful because they're not willing to kind of put their past behind them. They're just hung on so tight, right? So I'm glad you haven't done that. I'm glad you have committed to the transformation and are making it happen, and it has happened and continue to evolve there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And as I say, when I think a lot of people will be surprised when they hear the new EP, and in particular when they hear the new CD.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I when I follow you on Facebook, you talk about powering up the studio to kind of do your practice and just getting better and whatnot. You put in some serious hours, my friends. Well, tell us the typical day. During a week, how many hours would you put into music?
It all depends.
Mhm.
It all depends on the day and what's going on. I
Mhm.
work a part-time job to help pay for all of this. I mean,
Absolutely.
I do
We
learn.
got to make a living.
Well, that's it.
Mhm.
But basically, do in life and in music, whatever. I have three questions,
Mm.
and they are this, right? I know I'm getting really serious now, but
You
think
bet.
about it. What are your goals?
Mhm.
What are you willing to do to achieve your goals? And here's the big question: what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve your goals? And
Absolutely.
right, most people are willing. Oh, they're going to do a lot, but when it comes to what are you going to sacrifice
Mhm.
to achieve those goals? What are you really going to give up? And for a longer period of time than just one day,
Mhm.
that's where it falls apart for a lot of people. You know,
You bet.
so again, it's hard work. For me, it's hard work. Doing a rock record, I really had to be humbled. I would
Mhm.
have to be humble. I had to be open and accepting.
Mhm.
Because you could go in there and you know just shred all over the place or whatever, but that doesn't serve the song.
Mhm.
So you need to be, or at least I did anyway. I
Yeah.
needed to be open to say, well, you know what? And again, when you're working with a good producer, uh, it all comes together. But you need to be open to hearing, well, you know what, Marshall? Yeah, don't think so.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Now that's a humbling experience.
Mhm.
You need to know that, you know, you're, you're humbled by your limitations, but you need to be open to direction.
Mhm.
Right? And I think that's been the biggest turning point for me in this journey.
Mhm.
Yeah, huge, huge.
Yeah.
And then coming back and accepting it and actually practicing it. So you
Mhm.
sacrifice a bit of your ego, you sacrifice a bit of your time with your buddies,
Mhm.
or your family because no, you know what? I really need to focus on this.
Mhm.
Right? You sacrifice your fun, whatever that may be, and the money you use for your fun or your new car or your vacation, right?
Mhm.
And you put that into your recording, the promo. Recording a record is not just about laying down tracks. That's just step one.
Mhm.
The rest of it, that takes a lot of work, a lot of time,
Mhm.
and you know what? And money too, because nothing is free.
Mhm.
We're not millionaires.
Yeah.
What are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, great points. And I would imagine that even millionaires and billionaires are sacrificing left and right and center to have what it is that they have. My only hope for them is that they make the right choices for them, right?
Well, that's it. It's all about dedication. It's all about perseverance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Yeah.
believe me, I was quite humbled uh,
Mm-hmm.
in this journey. Uh, I've been very fortunate to play with some wonderful, wonderful people. My
Mm-hmm.
records have done well, which I feel very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, But making those transitions, moving from this genre to that genre, and listening, as I said, in the '80s, '90s, I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to any of that rock.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't do it for me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was an Iggy and the Stooges guy, an MC5 guy, Hendrix,
Mm-hmm.
Rory, Gallagher,
Mm-hmm.
right, and all my acoustic blue stuff. But now, if I want to go into this, well, it takes work.
Yeah.
You I needed to go back and start listening and I get that. Oh, okay. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You bet. Respect for what it takes to excel in any given discipline, and in this case, it's yeah, you have clarity of that, and I'm excited to see and hear what's continued to come out of this new direction that you have there. So tell us a little bit about maybe take us for a little bit of a history. If you go back, how long ago did you start playing music? Was it when you were 5 years old or what?
A very long time ago, we won't mention when.
Mhm.
Just the very first thing, and I'm sure this is for a lot of people of my generation, most probably, sitting up in Flin Flon, Manitoba. I was a kid of maybe 7,
Mhm.
6, whatever I was at the time. One channel, Channel 10, BBC,
Mhm.
black and white, and the Beatles came on and Ed Sullivan for the very first time.
Yeah.
For the very first time.
Mhm.
And there's only one channel, so what are you going to watch, right? And I watched it, and I was just, I didn't know at the time. I was so young, but it just sparked something in me,
Mhm.
And then at the age of, interestingly enough, then we moved to Windsor, Ontario. I
Mhm.
was 9 and a half, and that's when I first heard Hendrix. We moved there in summer of '66, summer of '66.
Mhm.
So I was there, watching the Detroit riots from the riverbanks and
Mhm.
watching Detroit burn. It's crazy
Mhm.
times. So that's when I first heard Hendrix. And then I drove my parents, and we weren't a wealthy family. to say the least. For guitar, but my parents wanted to buy me an accordion. That was their thing. And, I probably had a few temper tantrums. And they finally agreed to buy me a guitar under the condition that I take some lessons, right? So I know what I'm doing. I took a few lessons in my life. And that I practiced. So, I give my mom a lot of credit because back then, people, and I suck at sports, but people were playing sports and I wanted to go with the guys and play sports and do all that. And my mother would force me to practice. We had arguments, but she would force me. We bought you the guitar, you're practicing. And she was quite stern about it. But that's okay. Looking back now, I so much appreciate that.
Yeah, that's quite visionary of her and of them to be doing that with that level of thoughtfulness, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think the wooden spoon came out a few times, but
yeah. So next thing I want to go to is in all of your years doing music, whether it's blues or rock or in the early days and now that with the returning to rock and whatnot, you must have a few kind of good stories to share with our viewers who may find some insights. Just top of mind, is there a story, an interesting story that resonate that you want to share? Any random story at all in your sort of music history, music journey?
Well, there's a couple. One was meeting Howard Stern when he first started at W4 in Detroit. He took an interest in the band. Things sort of went sideways, but that was quite an experience. And the other story is one funny story actually. When I spent some time in Kingston, Ontario, and I was in a band, a punk band, a couple of punk bands, basically the same band, different singers. And we were playing on Wolf Island. I don't know if you all know Kingston and Wolf Island, but anyway, we're playing on Wolf Island in a bar. And I forget the name of the bar. It doesn't really matter. And, so we dressed, I'm in my caftan, the singer's in her. We were a funk band, right? Wrong place to be. This was Redneck City. So as we're playing, and you got to take the ferry off and on. So we were stuck there overnight, right? It was just a one-night gig. And people literally, we had salt shakers thrown at us. One lady, true story, rode in the bar on a horse. True story. Then when we finished the gig, it was just, we played well, but it was just, that wasn't their thing. It's like the Blues Brothers with the chicken wire thing, right?
Yeah. I remember that.
We got out, unloaded, started loading our gear in the cars, and people were actually wanting to become violent with us.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we just booted it and ended up sleeping in some tents. I don't even know where I slept that night. It was, back in the crazy days.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, we caught the ferry and off the island we went. But I'm sure everyone has a story. Maybe not about a lady riding a horse into the bar. And this is just a small island. Anyway, true story. But we made it home safe.
Yeah. So some of those movies that we see are not that far out there.
Not really. Not really. I'm sure other people have even better stories than me. But that always stuck out. The other story is when I was recording House Call and the Holmes brothers came on. Now this is interesting. And the Holmes brothers came in to do the backing vocals, right? So on House Call, I had David Hurl on harmonica. Russell Jackson was on stand-up bass. And then we had this song, Factory Closing Blues, Windsor Boy, Factory Boy. And I thought the Holmes brothers would sound great on this. So I sent the song to their management team, whatever, they sent it on to them. They liked it, and it just so happened the Holmes brothers were playing the Edmonton Folk Fest, in several months. So they came in, it sorted out, we went in. So there was Wendell, Popsy, and Sherman. And Wendell Holmes was the leader of the Holmes brothers. Now, if you think of B.B. King, right? If you think of the Holmes brothers, they may not be a household name, but in traditional blues, they're bigger or as big. They're just not a household name. So I was very fortunate, very fortunate. So anyway, they came in and, we had a blast. But here's the interesting part. Whatever they lay down and the harmonies that these guys produce just off the cuff, it just blows your mind. So they did their part. Great, that's great, Wendell. Thanks, man. He goes, no, not good enough. And they did it again and again and again until they were satisfied. I was satisfied with the first hello, but that's a pro. They did it until they were satisfied that that's the best job that they could do. And then the session was done, not until. Now, isn't that interesting? And that's a pro. That's a person that's into the music. And the people that are into it for the music, that take it seriously for the music, not necessarily for the money, although we all need money, and not necessarily for the acclaim and so on. No, this is about the song. And I just thought my mind was blown. I just thought, wow, now there is a lesson for me to learn. Anyway.
So, hey, thank you for sharing these stories. We have a number of viewers out there. And our viewers, if you comment in the stream there, in the video stream, we can see it. And we certainly can have Marshall see it and respond to it. So feel free to ask Marshall questions, comment, egg him on and encourage him. And let's have some fun. Now, Marshall, if you don't have a time constraint, we can certainly go past the 12:55 mark, if you want to continue going beyond that.
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. This is fun.
You bet. So while we wait for maybe our viewers to enter some comments and questions, why don't we play the next video? Maybe you can introduce the video. It's actually a CD kind of recording here. Blue Still Got Me, Marshall. I'm going to be off camera here.
Well, like I said, the blues was and will always be a part of what I do. So I'm recording, a record, kind of bluesy, rocky, whatever. But blues, my style of blues, many style of blues, but I play blues my way. I'm not Robert Johnson, I'm not Muddy Waters. This is my blues. But anyway, having said that, I wanted a song on the record that said, you know what, no matter where I go in life musically, the blues, still got me. The blues is part of me, And that's, what this song is about. The other part of the song, it's a healing song in the sense of, what, we all go through trials and tribulations, and if you go back to the music, you'll make it through.
Hey, Michelle, one of our viewers out there says, this is fun. So, and Kim Massey says, Kim Massey says, hey, Marshall, when are we jamming?
Kim's a drummer in the Marshall Lawrence Band, Mark IV. Hey, Kim, how you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Well, we be jamming once this COVID situation is all done.
And Keith, he, I don't know if you know Keith Quast. He says, I like the Born to Rock sticker you gave me at the Band Aid show, Lauren. So you remember that? I don't know if you recall, Keith.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm glad you appreciate it. What that sticker really means, it says Born to Rock or whatever. But what it really means is, for me anyway, this is, like we talked about earlier, this is what I need to do. This is what, certain people need to do. And while you're doing it, let's rock out and have some fun too, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thanks for tuning in.
I'm going to roll the CD, sort of the song here. So let's go with that.
struggle with my loneliness, struggle with my misery. I turn to my woman for some temporary relief. That woman, she lied to me, robbed my soul like a thief, left me with my loneliness, left me with my misery. Well, my woman was my lover, was my only friend. But just like any lover, she's gonna leave you in the end. Leave you with your loneliness, leave you with your misery. The blues still got me, got a stranglehold on me. But I try and I try, Lord, but these blues won't let me be. Leave me with my loneliness.
And there you have it. The blues still got me.
So,
Ed?
so you, basically, you have reinvented yourself, but you have not forgotten your period where you spent a lot of time with the blues and haven't given it up completely, where you sort of shunned it or anything like that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just want to mention the players on that record, have to give them their props. Alan Beveridge was on drums. I think he did a great job on the record and in this song. And I just love what he did in the beginning of the song with those shots that he was doing. Zach Robertson was bass. And Andrew Glover, if you hear the clavinet and the piano stuff, and I love that. That's Andrew Glover.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's also playing on my new EP and my new CD. Yeah, he's just a wonderful musician, wonderful person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have some more comments here. Michelle says, subscribed on YouTube page. Love the blues. So others who are watching now or later, feel free to do what Michelle did as well, folks. The more the merrier. And Michelle says, great tune. Which is your favorite guitar to play? You have lots of guitars, like many of us guitarists tend to have afflicted with the same addiction, but lots of guitars, eh?
All right. Well, you know what? Right now, as I said, it's my Chevelle, but I'm going to show you my workhorse.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right here. You have a workhorse, one that...
And I'll tell you the story about this guitar.
Yes, please do.
This, if you can see all the stickers,
mm-hmm.
This is a 1974 Fender Stratocaster.
Mm.
You'll see all the dings and bangs in it. Whatever happened? Are we there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the dings and bangs in it. That guitar I bought secondhand. I've had that guitar since the early 80s. Mm-hmm. And that guitar is a part of me.
Yeah, and you have a name for it. Go ahead and share the name.
Well, that's my Masala Strat. That's my Masala Strat because I used that guitar a lot when I was in the band in Kingston, Ontario, Masala. But interesting story with this guitar. And again, we've all had wild days. We've all had wild times. And now I'm cured of my wild and wicked ways, as Clint Eastwood would have said. So I'm playing a festival in sort of a hippie fest in Kingston, Ontario. It's called Big V. And it was a pretty exclusive festival to get into as a band, right? And we certainly didn't fit the typical genre of band. This was a rock band, just a jam band. Anyway, so we did our set, and as I said, wild and crazy days. We all went off somewhere, right? We're sleeping in tents, and if anybody knows me, outdoors and camping is not my thing, particularly outdoors. I'd rather be in the studio, in the basement, whatever. So anyway, you go and you wind up wherever you wind up. So in a tent, probably no, it had to have been later than that. But anyway, sitting bolt upright, had those nights. Where am I? What am I doing here? What happened? Where's my guitar?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So again, wild and crazy days. And whose tent am I in? Anyway, no guitar. So I believe it was my bass player and my singer had the guitar case. I'm saved. Great. No guitar in the case. My Masala Strat was sitting out in the field.
Oh no.
Yeah, don't ask me how it got there.
Yeah.
Nobody stole it, but sitting out in the field overnight. So it's all full of dew and all wet. It's cool. But you know what? The guitar still rocks. And once you got a Strat, I mean, you could run a truck over the Strat and it's going to stay in tune.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that guitar has been with me. That's my mainstay. Although, like, I'm really loving my Charvel now.
Yeah. You see the comment from Rita McDade. She says, "I'm sure I saw your live show at the pub southwest corner of West Mountain Mall. Can't remember what year. Do you know what she's referring to? It's a live show at the pub southwest corner of West Mountain Mall."
No, you know what? My apologies. I played a lot of shows. And give me the name of the pub. Then I'm be able to place it.
Well, you know, that is understandable. You know, when you have experiences where you don't know where you put your favorite guitar, then this is very much okay. So thanks for that.
Well, I'm better now.
Michelle says, no way. It was her first guitar. She bought it with her own money back in the 70s. So some commonalities there. Again, folks, if our viewers out there now or later have comments, feel free to put them in the comment and we'll see them. And even after the show, if you put comments there, Marsha will be able to respond to them. And let's keep the conversation going. So tell us a bit about, I'm going to bring up a photo and you're going to tell me a little bit about that photo, anything at all that you want to say about that photo. Okay, right. So here's the photo. Look at that.
Yeah, love that photo. Again, that's with the Les Paul. I call it the Wizard. My good friend Mikey willed it to me. His nickname was the Wizard. That's a great guitar. That's a 1989 Les Paul. Yeah, great guitar. That particular photo was actually taken at the original House of Seven when it was in a warehouse. We did a photo shoot and so on for the new record, for Feeling Fine, actually. And, we had, I had the lighting guys there and, the sound guys. And, we just had a great time. Brian Zahornyuk, Edmonton guy, wonderful photographer. He took that picture as well as all the others that of that ilk that you see me posting and that are on the Feeling Fine artwork. That was all Brian Zahornyuk. So we had the Seven crew out and had some we had a lot of fun that day. Let me leave it at that. And Brian took some great pictures. You know what? And I think that picture just signifies, you know what, when the music is hitting you and everything is going right, it's better than any feeling you've ever felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Rita has a follow-up comment here. She says, I believe it was the first time she saw you live, and it was a great show. And remember the Resonator. Do you spend much time with the Resonator these days, Marshall?
Oh, well, that's Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have Rosie in this room.
Yeah.
No, Rosalita, Rosie for short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do spend a bit of time on it, not as much as I did when I was doing my solo acoustic blues thing and recording my acoustic blues records. You know, now I'm spending a lot of time on the electric and you know, trying to get my rock chops in, trying to write some tunes, because even though the EP and the CDs, the two rock records that are coming out, are written and all the bed tracks are done and so on, I'm writing for the CD after that. You know, so just putting together, you know, hooks, choruses, practicing leads, you know, developing my hands, my picking hand, because you know, a lot goes into it.
Yeah.
A lot goes into it. And for me, you know, I need to break a lot of bad habits that I had too. So yeah, not as much as I should, but you know what? You can't do everything. But Rosie is my lady. There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have a different question for you, and
Sure.
my question is: I know you are quite quite involved in marketing your own, all kinds of different venues and all different kind of methods and whatnot. If you can share one or two kind of key insights or lessons or practices for best practice for marketers who may not be as wise with that, what would be a couple of those insights that you want to share about sort of self-promotion, self-marketing in today's technology world that we're in?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what I did with the first record. What was it called? Yeah, The Morning After. So this one, the first record I did was Where's the Party? That was more our live set. Let's give it to bar owners so we can get gigs. But The Morning After was, and there's an interesting story behind this. Remind me to tell you at Dune. The Morning After was my first acoustic CD where I really wanted to get into acoustic, back into blues, and more so back into acoustic blues. So what I did is I self-promoted this as well. You know, I self-promoted this. Essentially what I did initially, and then, you know, I got smart about it, but I went on the internet and found out who are all the blues DJs, who is a blues, you know, who has these shows. So 6 months before I released it, I started emailing these guys, introducing myself, letting them know, hey, where's your mailing address? Expect my product. Here's who I am. You don't know me, but right. And I got, you know, I developed a lot of relationships that last to this day. And then what I did is, you know, then I packaged up all the CDs, and, you know, I mailed out probably 400 of them. So whatever it was, right? And to magazines and so on. So I did all of that myself by doing research, which takes a lot of time. But then I would load all of these CDs in their packages to mail in garbage bags, right? So I'd have 2 full garbage bags at a time going into the post office to mail them out. You know, but part of it is the crux of that story is it's about personal relationships. Right? So then I did the same thing with Blues Intervention. So doing it all myself, but Blues Intervention did very well. But then I thought, you know, geez, this record can be better. What does everyone else do? So I looked around, and they have a publicist / radio promo person. Well, who's everybody using? And that's when I came across this lady out of Memphis, Betsy Brown. And, you know, so I emailed her and I said, hey, this is what I've done. And this is what I'm doing with this record. It's been out, you know, 6-7 months. It's doing well, but it's starting, you know, as it will, because I'm not touring, starting to go down in the charts and so on. I need help, getting it back up. And so, we chatted, and wonderful, wonderful lady, and she took on the project. So she handled blues intervention, and then she handled, and it just shot right back up there again. Because again, they have all the ins and with all of these magazines and the people, and that one was in Living Blues, and then she handled House Call as well. So my advice would be, now again, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice that new guitar, or are you willing to sacrifice that pizza or the beer on the Friday night, right? And put the money into a good publicist / radio promo person? What are you really willing to do, right? And I was. So my advice would be, find yourself a good publicist / radio promo person, because they can then get your stuff out there. I did that all myself, and charted #1 in Roots Music Report, with Blues Intervention. But if somebody else does that for you, then that's a whole big chunk of time that you can use for your writing and for your practicing and getting better at your instrument and so on, right?
Yeah.
You leave that to them, as long as, and as I said, Betsy was great. And then from that, she got me a gig in, I think 3 years running in Memphis to judge the International Blues Challenge. You know how we have a Blues Challenge here? And every blues society of worth needs to belong to the Blues Foundation. The Blues Foundation has a worldwide in Memphis every January competition. Right, we've had some guys go down from there. So she got me the gig as one of the judges there for 3 years running.
Cool. Hey, question for you. The Morning After CD, when was that released? I just wanted to put it up here. Do you recall?
I think that was released in, I don't know, 2000, whatever it was, 2000 something.
Okay, so.
But this CD, you don't have a minute?
Say that again?
Do I have a minute?
Oh, you have it all the time you want, my friend.
The story behind this CD is I wanted to record, as I said, an acoustic blues CD. I talked to Russell Jackson a few years prior to this. He was playing at Blues on White, and I said, "Hey Russell, if I ever do an acoustic blues CD, would you play on it?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, sure." And off he goes. Right. Well, 2 years later, he's playing a gig. The bar was packed. Right, the bar Blues on White was packed, or commercial, whatever you want to call it. And he's coming off stage, going to his room, and everyone's around him. And he didn't really know me that well at the time. And as he's walking by, he says, "Russell, do you remember you said you'd do a record with me?" And I go, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm doing it. You still in?" He goes, "I am, Marshall." Well, and that's a pro. You don't say things lightly. If you say it, you mean it. And he did. So he came in. But so that was good. But when I was planning it, my wife was into bluegrass back then, stand-up bass player, and she still is. So we were at the Blueberry Festival, right? And they jam all night long. So it's like early in the morning they're jamming, and I'm just so sick of listening to bluegrass, right? So I took my acoustic guitar, went in the field away from everybody, and just started playing blues. Right? So nobody around me, just me isolating, being me, leave me alone. And I hear this harmonica in the distance. True story. And it's getting closer and closer and closer. Then this big man, his name was John Wild, and he was a very big man. He sat down and he played a couple of tunes, and they go, "Okay, see you later." Where are you going, bro? That was amazing. So I kept on, and then I said, I need to find this guy. I need to find him. And it took me 6 months to find him. And I started asking the people in the bluegrass community, "Do you know him?" "Yeah, we've heard of him, don't know him." Finally tracked him down 6 months later. And I said, "Hey, do you remember?" He goes, "Nah." He said, "Well, why don't you come over, blah, blah, blah." So we did it. It was a wonderful man, wonderful melodic harmonica player, right? Melodic, wonderful. So Russell and I went into the studio, and I'd flown Russell in from Montreal at the time. I think Russell was living in Montreal at the time. Flew him in for the weekend, to lay some tracks down in Homestead, had the studio booked. And I flew another friend of mine that was a lead singer, a rhythm guitar player in for my days in Kingston in the funk bands, just for moral support, right? A very dear friend of mine, Sam. So I flew her in. And so we're laying down the tracks. And I remember John was a big man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's playing, we're getting the tracks done, and he's, in the isolation booth playing his harmonica hunked over like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he starts, in between takes, he starts complaining about shoulder pains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you're a big guy, John. You don't work out, right? But then it just got to the point where he was really complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, maybe you pulled a muscle. I don't know. So I told Sammy, I said, Sammy, take John into the green room. And because I flew Russell in, I got to get his tracks done.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Russell and I were playing a song that I learned off a Taj Mahal record. I played it on banjo called Light Rain Blues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on House Call.
Yep.
And not House Call, on The Morning After. And so we finished the tracks. I go out into the main area, and ambulance guys are streaming in. Like, it must have been about 3 or 4 or 5 of them, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. What is going on? So Sammy comes out in tears. I said, Sam, what's happening? Was John okay? Now, this is a musician, and this said to me, you need to keep doing this, Marshall. What happened was, as he was in there, because he was, really complaining, John had an aortic aneurysm. And he passed in the studio while he's hearing me and Russell, and I'm on banjo, playing Light Rain Blues. And it should be on you can find it on YouTube somewhere. And I said, oh my God. But they didn't tell me he had passed, but he had passed in the studio, right? And Sam said to me, she'd go, yeah, Marshall. I said, wow, what's going on? And she said, his last words, after, the last exhale you do, right? I want to get back in the studio. I want to play. I can't let Marshall down. And he passed. Wow. So in his honor, of course, I put out this CD, and I've continued playing. So when we go back to what are you, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. Please don't die in the studio. I mean, my heart still breaks for John. But I guess it says is how important is music to you? And so he plays on 2 of the cuts on this. That's all, that he recorded with us. And then his favorite harmonica player was Norton Buffalo. Norton Buffalo, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was playing with Roy Rogers and Doobie Brothers and Steve Miller. So I emailed with Norton, and I said, hey, here's what happened. I'm doing this CD, and here's what happened. You're John's favorite player. And he said, well, Marshall, yeah, I'd love to. No problem. Flying up and so on, right? And he said, but right now, he was either on tour with the Doobie Brothers or with Steve Miller. I can't remember at the time, right? Because he played with both bands. And he said, so it'll be about 6 months before we get off the road, but I'll definitely do it. But if you need someone sooner than that, I know this cat that really grooves, his words, not mine, I know this cat that really grooves in BC. And his name is Sherman Doucette. So I go, oh, okay. Well, I'd like to, get it out prior to that or continue the process, right? So I found Sherman and I gave him a call. Now, I'd seen Sherman playing the Incognito band. He had heard of me. I had heard of him, but we had never met, right? So I got his number. I can't remember from where, and I gave him a call and explained the situation. He says, I'm there. I said, okay, well, what I got to pay you, man? Whatever. He says, it don't matter, Marshall. I'm there for you. I don't know him.
Yeah.
So he came, he finished the morning after record, and then he also did blues intervention with me.
Mm-hmm.
Blues
Mm-hmm.
intervention. It was myself, Sherman, and Russell. And as I said on House Call, it was Russell, myself, and David Hurl, because I thought, these songs required a different style of harmonica player. But again, it's interesting where everything leads, and so my favorite CD, the one that means the most to me, period, what is Feeling Fine.
Mm-hmm.
On that, and those were the last two things that John ever played on harmonica. Those two songs.
Yeah.
So wow, when you listen to it, you don't know all these backstories.
Yeah.
Mr. Love. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for sharing that really
Yeah.
awesome story. I presume that's the one that you told me to remind you to share. Yeah.
That's the story.
Wonderful. Yeah. So if I could, kind of reflect on that a little bit. I mean, what I got is that you do what you do your best that you can, reach out to people, and you never can predict what people would do, or for free, or for not very much sort of asking in return. You just do your best, and then you sometimes are surprised at how generous people are when you ask them to do something, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of great players out there, and a lot of people that will play for the music and support for the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, one thing I learned doing the acoustic records, and now in particular doing Feeling Fine and the other two projects, it's about collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we just talked about the two new projects. I co-wrote them with Cam McLeod, because when we were doing Feeling Fine, I said, would you write a record with me? And he goes, sure. So again, a couple of years later, we were at a party, and I said, hey, man, do you remember? And he said, yeah. And I said, so you still interested? I said I was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, the difference between a professional. Right? I said, oh, yeah, it was 2 years ago, man. I said, well, I said I would. Okay. It's about collaboration. It's about bringing people in. It's about knowing, and I'm getting really serious, sorry, but it's about, knowing your limitations.
Yeah.
So we wrote the songs, and I'm going, and I'm writing the lyrics and so on. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? We've written some pretty good songs. Now this is more rock. I'm not a rock singer. I don't think I can sing this. Again, humbled by your limitations. So I hired a singer to sing these songs, right? He's down in the States. Actually, he recorded the EP. He was in Iran. So you go on the web, you can find everybody. And the guy just had a voice that knocked me out. And so I hired him. We've got Randy Forsberg on bass. We've got Carmen Caligari on drums. We've got Andrew Glover on keys. We've got a horn section out of Nashville. We've got a string section on some of the songs out of the States. Right? So again, it's about the song, not about, hey, look at me, I'm Marshall, I'm doing everything. Not what it's about. The song is crying out for this. And I knew right from the get-go that there's no way that I could do this material justice vocally. So we hired someone that we thought, could fit the bill and do the record.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting? It's all about collaboration. And
Yeah. I'm really impressed, and I want to highlight what I've sort of heard throughout the conversation here. You have a very deep sense of awareness, self-awareness, and situation awareness. And when you have a goal or a vision in mind of what it is you're trying to do, and you compare that to what you have, kind of within you and among you, and very self-aware to be able to say, I need to reach out for others to kind of join me, or others to do it instead of me in this particular role. So, that's really awesome, because that allows you to reinvent. I'm not surprised, therefore, that your reinvention has been quite successful and continue to be very successful in the future, because of this self-awareness and the ability to kind of say, yeah, I could do it, but it would be better if someone else do it instead, right?
Well, that's it. That's what it's about. It's about, I'll just repeat myself. And it was a hard lesson.
All really important things are hard to learn. It's not a difficult concept, but it's hard to really finally internalize it and actually act based on it, right?
Yeah, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the song. And
Mhm.
what is the song calling for? And how can you put out, in my opinion, how can you put out the best product, the best record
Mhm.
that you can,
Yeah,
period.
yeah, yeah,
That's what it's about to me
yes,
at this stage, and it took me a while to learn that.
yeah,
It took me a while to learn that.
yeah,
The spotlight don't always have to be on me because that boy over there can do a better job. Hey, you
yeah.
want to play with me? Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So again, and once that starts happening, what I found is all of a sudden, all of these songs have taken on a life of their own, and we may have written them in this certain way, but with all these other people coming in and doing their thing, right? Like singing it or the horns or the
Mhm.
strings, whatever. Now all of a sudden, it takes on a different personality.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
evolved,
yeah,
right? Or still playing a song, you've still written a song, right?
yeah,
But it takes on, you're hearing it with different ears.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes that can be really humbling. I'll be honest. Sometimes that can be really scary,
Mhm.
because I didn't really, I wasn't hearing it
Mhm.
that way in my head,
Yeah,
right? Still your song, you still wrote it. Different
yeah,
interpretation, if
yeah,
you will.
abs
And when I hire people, I let them do their thing. Like
Mhm.
David Earl, when he came into do house call, he says, and David Hurl is one of the premier harmonica players in Canada. He's had some health issues of later years. Last few years, I've lost track of him, but he is a mechanic on a
Mhm.
harmonica.
Mhm.
He came in as the Sherman. Now Sherman's a very different style than David, but you know what? They both came in and on very different projects. But they said, "What do you want me to play?
Mhm.
How do you want me to play?" And I just looked at them and I said, "You know what? I hired you because I like the way you played. I just want you to be you."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's interesting to go, "Really, Marshall? You're
Mhm.
allowing me that freedom, essentially?"
Mhm.
They go, "Really, Marshall?" I say, "Yeah, man. Have fun. Do what you
Mhm.
do. I
Yeah,
hired you for you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
ain't gonna tell you how to play."
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is a great time for me to maybe tell some of our viewers who may not be aware of all of your backgrounds. So, I'm going to share this one thing that may be new to some of our viewers now or later, and that is as much time as you've spent in your entire life on music, you actually have a PhD in, was it psychology? Tell us just briefly about that, just so people can get a sense. Here's somebody who is definitely educated, university educated to the tune of the PhD, and kind of know all of that, but still chosen to have music kind of rule their life and sort of park that aside. That probably explains for some of the kind of critical thinking that you're able to do in all of these complex situations. So tell us a bit about that, Marshall.
Yeah.
Or Doc Lawrence.
Thank you. No, well, I'll tell you the way the Doctor of the Blues, the way that name came about. But anyway, blues and psychology are related.
Mm,
Blues is about, for the singer, uh, for the musician, is about getting out, making the internal external. Okay,
mhm,
vocalizing what's going on with you, getting out there, and that can be quite cathartic and healing. What do you do in individual therapy sessions? The
mhm,
same. You don't stuff it. You don't stuff your feelings. You get the internal. You make the internal external, and you start working on that through writing blues songs or rock songs. Doesn't really matter. But again, it was blues at the time. That's what it's about: getting what's inside out, telling your story, right? Not
mhm,
letting them have so much power over you, control over you. Same thing in individual therapy or group therapy. Same thing. So they're both very healing uh,
yeah,
ones, right? If you want to call it
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But the Doctor of the Blues, when I was in Kingston, I was playing in a funk band, and was either Masala or Shockwalter at the time. Basically the same players, different singer. And we were playing at a bar. It was on a weekday night, so the bar was empty. And guy walks in, sits at the end of the bar, and it wasn't a huge bar, so you can see people.
Mm-hmm.
Just walks in all mopey.
Mm-hmm.
True story. He sits at the end of the bar. He's watching us, and he's just all mopey, drinking. So here we go, right? Eyeing me. I said, okay, here we go. And as the set wore on, he started kind of right, getting a little more animated, then a little more dancing in his seat. And we always, no matter what genre I'm playing, I'll throw in some blues numbers, right? We played a couple blues numbers. The set ended, came off the stage, and as you do and as you should do, you talk to your audience. You don't run straight up to your room, right? You're there to entertain. The audience has come out. They paid money to see you. Entertain them, right? Make them feel at home. Welcome them into your living room, so to speak, right? So anyway, I went to talk to this guy, and he goes, "Yeah, I've been going through a bad patch, and so on." And I asked some friends about him later, and indeed, all of this was true. He had some addiction issues, or has at the time, and was going through a really bad patch in his life. And he's telling me about this, so I'm talking to him, and as we're talking, then he starts getting really excited. Oh, okay, well, good. You're feeling better. That's why we're here, right? Forget about your troubles. Come hear the music. Have fun. Trouble can wait at the door. They're going to be there when you leave. So we're talking, and he goes, yeah, you know what? I listened to your music. True story. I listened to your music. He goes, you're the doctor. You've healed me. You've healed me. You're the doctor. You're the doctor of the blues.
There you go.
And the name stuck.
Yeah.
Well, what he didn't know is I had a PhD in psychology. So a lot of people tell me, they say, Marshall, you can't call yourself the doctor of the blues. And I say, oh, yes, I can. Legally, yes, I can. All right.
Awesome story.
True story. He gave me the name. I didn't give myself the name. And in blues music, the history of blues music, and I'm not a historian, but you don't give yourself a name.
Yeah.
A name is given to you.
Yeah.
Right. So that name was given to me by that guy in that bar in probably 1990.
Yeah.
It was. And then
awesome story. That's the best names comes from our customers, comes from our audience, come from the people that actually benefit from what we do, right? But Michelle again chimed in and say, when I share this thing about your background with a PhD in psychology, and Michelle says, what? That explains a lot of things. She agrees. But so yeah, you have obviously many different aspects to your education and life and work. And but one thing that is clear to me is you always have a clear vision of your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, and be willing and able to engage people, and be willing and able to be humble to kind of learn what's necessary and evolve and take a back seat in some areas if necessary to be able to achieve your vision. So that's that's fantastic to kind of share that with our viewers, because those I think are very important qualities. So Marcia, we're rounding the corner on the kind of the time here. When you said yes, when I asked, hey, Marcia, would you like to come on and chat with us for an hour and a bit? You said yes. Was there something else that you want to share? I know that you want to share. You've been holding this little slide. Tell us about the slide and the other piece as well. Let's do that.
Right. Well, again, maybe not all the people are aware of this, but I do have a signature model guitar slide put out by the Rocky Mountain Slide Company in Salida, Colorado, I believe it is. So they put out this slide. The guy had heard me play, which one was it? The morning after, and he said, and he had heard about me. I don't know from where, but he heard about me. So he said, I want to make a signature model slide. Now, these are all hand carved from clay. They're not mold. They're hand carved.
Yeah.
And Rocky Mountain Slide Company, they're on the internet, but you can find them there. And so he shipped me a few to show me examples of his work, and I said, well, I like this from this slide. He has several models, right? But I like this from that slide, and I like the tone of this slide. So how do you put them all back together? So he made a bunch of prototypes and sent them to me, and then we finally eked out exactly what I wanted, and it turned into the Marshall Lawrence signature model guitar slide.
There you go, the Marshall Lawrence signature guitar slide.
Yeah.
Now, Rita McDade, our friend in BC, chimed in again and says, the famous fingernail.
Yeah, there you go. No, you know what? I used to actually play fingerstyle, and I used to get fake nails put on, right? So every 2 weeks I'd go in, and they'd be long. They'd look at claws. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of interesting stories about my fingernails and sitting and chatting with the ladies in the nail salon. But then I switched to finger picks. I fashioned them sort of like a fingernail, and then I went the real way, you know, just like, anyway, long story. But yeah, my fingernails were pretty long at one time. They were all fake, and I get them done every 2 weeks and sit there and chat and have tea with the ladies working on my nails.
That almost sounds diva-ish.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of fun. And I had one lady that no matter where she went, I would go to. Just that one.
Oh, really?
She switched salons, I would follow her around. And I did that for 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Awesome. So listen, Marshall, I know this is so interesting. I could be talking with you on this for another few more hours, but in terms of wrapping it up, first of all, let me say, if there's any stories that you want to share, any sort of insights or sort of sentiment that you want to share that you haven't yet, feel free. The stage is yours, my friend, to kind of share whatever you want before we wrap it up here.
Sure. Well, first, Dune, thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate it. It was nice talking about some of the stories. It was nice for me to pay respect and give props to a lot of the players I've been playing with, and writing with, and so on. You know, the moral of the whole story is not many people can do it alone. Not many people have everything. To me, it's more about collaboration. It's sort of about building a community, right? People can find my webpage. It's got to be restructured. Something's going on with it. But if you want to know more about me, go to www.drblues.com or marshallawrence.com, whichever. I've got a YouTube page, Facebook page. Any questions? Happy to answer them. You know, download my music.
There you go.
I'm on CD Baby. I'm on iTunes. All of those platforms. Let's do what we need to do, all of us, to keep music alive. In particular, to keep live music alive.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah. So, you know, just for our viewers, all of those links are available in the advertising poster that I put out a little while ago, as well as I will update the video here to have all of those things as well right after this. So you can certainly track all those sites that has been mentioned here. So again, with this, do you have 1 or 2 words to share with our viewer, like just words, like 1 or 2 or 3 words? If people kind of think about this interview and you want them to think about 3 words, what would they be?
Keep the faith.
Keep their faith. Well, that's exactly 3 words. So you're playing by the rule. Keep the faith. So on that note, again, thank you so much, Marshall, Mr. Marshall Lawrence, or should I say Doc Lawrence. And there you go. And legally so can be called Doc. So yeah, thank you so much for your time with us today and your stories and insights and energy and wisdom. And to our viewers out there, until we meet again, have a wonderful afternoon or the rest of your day. And till we meet again, take good care of yourself, take good care of one another. And as Marshall has said, keep the faith.
All right. Peace.